At first, I thought it was just a joke. Then I heard my mother-in-law tell a complete stranger at the grocery store, "Oh, this little angel, I'm basically her real mom." My stomach dropped. I was standing only a few feet away, holding a basket of diapers and baby wipes while my 6-month-old daughter sat in my mother-in-law's shopping cart seat, chewing on a toy giraffe. The woman laughed politely. "You mean Grandma?" she asked. My mother-in-law smiled. "No, I mean I practically raised her. Her mother is always busy." I froze. For a moment, I honestly thought I'd misheard her. But then she reached down, stroked my daughter's cheek, and added, "Sometimes the wrong woman gives birth, and the right woman ends up doing all the work." The stranger looked uncomfortable. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. My daughter was my entire world. I had carried her for 9 exhausting months. I had endured a difficult labor. I was waking up every 2 hours through the night while recovering from childbirth. Yet somehow my mother-in-law was standing there pretending she was the actual mother. And the worst part? That wasn't even the most disturbing thing she had done. Not even close. Because what happened 3 weeks later would tear our entire family apart. And it all started long before that grocery store conversation. Looking back, I should have recognized the warning signs much earlier. The comment at the grocery store wasn't some random slip of the tongue. It was the result of months of increasingly strange behavior. At first, everyone brushed it off. That's just how Linda is. She's excited about being a grandmother. You're probably reading too much into it. Even my husband, Ethan, thought I was overreacting. But every boundary she crossed made her bolder. Every excuse people made for her encouraged her. And little by little, Linda stopped acting like a grandmother. She started acting like she was competing with me for my own child. By the time everyone finally understood what was happening, the damage was already done. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old, married to my husband Ethan, and until recently I thought we had a pretty normal family. Ethan and I had been together for 8 years before our daughter Emma was born. We weren't wealthy. We weren't perfect, but we were happy. When I got pregnant, Ethan cried, actually cried. He wrapped his arms around me in our tiny kitchen and said, "We're going to be parents?" For months, we planned everything together. We painted the nursery, we argued over baby names, we read parenting books. It felt like the beginning of a beautiful new chapter. Linda, my mother-in-law, seemed thrilled too. At first, she threw us a baby shower, she bought clothes and toys. She constantly talked about becoming a grandmother. I thought I was lucky. Most people complained about difficult mothers-in-law. Mine seemed supportive. There had always been a few minor issues. Linda was extremely attached to Ethan. She called him multiple times a day. She expected him to spend every holiday with her. She had a habit of inserting herself into our decisions, but nothing seemed serious enough to create conflict. Whenever she overstepped, Ethan would laugh. "Mom means well." That became his favorite phrase, "Mom means well." I heard it constantly. When Emma was born, things changed. The labor was difficult. I ended up needing an emergency C-section. Recovery was painful and exhausting. I struggled with sleep deprivation and postpartum anxiety. I needed support. Instead, I got Linda. She showed up at the hospital less than 2 hours after delivery. Before I could even sit up comfortably, she was taking pictures. Before I had properly held my daughter, Linda was asking to hold her. Before I had processed becoming a mother, Linda was posting photos online. "Linda," I said gently, "could you please wait before posting pictures?" She smiled. "Oh, don't be silly. Everyone wants to meet my baby and, my baby, not her grandbaby, her baby." At the time, I ignored it. I told myself she was excited. I wanted peace. I wanted harmony. Most importantly, I wanted my daughter to grow up surrounded by family. So I swallowed my discomfort. I smiled. I stayed polite. Unfortunately, that only encouraged her. The first red flag appeared when Emma was only 3 weeks old. I walked into the nursery and found Linda rearranging everything. The diapers, the clothes, the bottles. Everything. What are you doing? I asked. She didn't even look guilty. I'm fixing it. It wasn't broken, she laughed. Oh, honey, first-time mothers never know what they're doing. I forced a smile. Inside, I was irritated, but I let it go. Then came the criticism. Constant criticism. You hold her too much. You don't hold her enough. You're feeding her wrong. She's wearing too many layers. She's wearing too few layers. Nothing I did was correct. One afternoon, I found Linda giving Emma water. My daughter was only 2 months old. The pediatrician had specifically warned against it. I immediately stopped her. Linda, she can't have water yet. Linda rolled her eyes. That's ridiculous. The doctor said, I raised a child successfully long before those doctors started inventing rules. When I told Ethan, he sighed. Mom is old-fashioned. That was another favorite excuse. Mom is old-fashioned. Weeks later, Linda started showing up without calling. Sometimes she'd let herself inside, using the spare key we had given her for emergencies. One morning, I walked into my kitchen wearing pajamas and found her making coffee. I nearly screamed. Linda? She looked surprised. What? You can't just walk in? Family doesn't need permission? Actually, they do, but again, I stayed polite. Then the social media posts started. She posted dozens of photos. Many were pictures I had privately shared with family. The captions bothered me. My little girl, my precious baby. Life as a mommy never ends. That last one made my skin crawl. I asked her to stop. She acted offended. I was just being sentimental. A month later, I discovered she had created a photo album online titled Memories with My Daughter. It was filled entirely with pictures of Emma, not Ethan, not me, Emma. I showed Ethan. Even he looked uncomfortable, but he still said, It's weird, but I don't think she means anything by it. I wanted to believe him. I really did. Then came the grocery store incident, the one where she introduced herself as Emma's real mother. Afterward, I confronted her privately. What you said was inappropriate. Linda crossed her arms. It was a joke. It didn't sound like a joke. You've become very sensitive since having a baby. That conversation haunted me because deep down I realized something. Linda wasn't joking. She enjoyed blurring the lines. She enjoyed making people question who Emma belonged to, and that realization terrified me. After the grocery store incident, I started paying closer attention. What I saw made my anxiety worse. Linda began referring to Emma as our baby, not occasionally, constantly. One afternoon, she visited while Ethan was at work. Emma was playing on a blanket in the living room. Linda sat beside her and said, Who's Grandma's baby? You are. That wasn't unusual. Then she added, Mommy just borrows you. I stared at her. What did you say? She smiled. Nothing. But she knew exactly what she had said. Soon after, she started undermining my parenting in front of other people. At family gatherings, she'd say things like, Emma always settles down better with me. Or, she probably gets confused because Sarah is still learning. Everyone laughed awkwardly. I didn't. Then she started buying duplicate items, a crib, a changing table, a high chair, an entire nursery setup inside her house. When I asked why, she casually replied, For when Emma stays here. I blinked. Overnight? Of course. Emma was barely 8 months old. I had never discussed overnight visits, not once. Linda acted as though they were guaranteed. When I said I wasn't comfortable with that, she looked personally insulted. You trust daycare workers, but not family? Emma isn't in daycare? That's not the point. Every conversation became a guilt trip. Then things got worse. One afternoon, I received a phone call from a neighbor. Hey, Sarah, I saw Linda at the park with Emma. I frowned. What do you mean? The neighbor hesitated. I thought you knew. My blood ran cold. I absolutely did not know. I immediately called Linda. No answer. I called again. Nothing. 20 minutes later, she finally picked up. Oh, we're at the park. We, not I, we. You took Emma without telling me? Don't overreact. I was shaking. She had taken my child out of my house while I was upstairs showering, without permission, without informing me, without asking. When she returned, I confronted her. Linda acted offended. I was helping. You don't remove someone's child from their home without telling them. She's safer with me than half the people in this town. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That night, I finally put my foot down. I told Ethan the spare key had to go. To my surprise, he agreed. He had started noticing things too. Linda was becoming possessive, obsessive, unhealthy. We changed the locks. Linda lost her mind. She called Ethan crying, then angry, then crying again. You've turned my son against me. No, Mom, Ethan replied. We're setting boundaries. She didn't accept them. Over the next few weeks, she became increasingly aggressive. Passive-aggressive messages, guilt trips, unexpected visits, complaints to relatives. She portrayed herself as a victim. According to Linda, I was cruel, controlling, unfair. Family members started calling. Maybe you're being too harsh. She's just excited. She's only trying to help. I felt completely alone until the day everything exploded. Emma's first birthday party was supposed to be a happy day. Instead, it became the moment our family finally saw the truth. We rented a small community hall. Friends and relatives gathered around decorated tables. There were balloons, cake, presents, and laughter. For the first hour, everything seemed fine. Linda arrived dressed in a cream-colored outfit that looked suspiciously like something a mother would wear for professional family photos. I tried not to let it bother me. Then came the birthday slideshow. Ethan and I had spent weeks putting it together. Photos from pregnancy, hospital pictures, Emma's milestones, her first smile, her first steps. As the slideshow played, people smiled and wiped away tears. Then Linda suddenly stood up. She tapped a spoon against a glass. The room fell silent. I'd like to say something. I exchanged a nervous glance with Ethan. Linda walked to the front of the room. She was holding a photo album. I just want everyone to know how special this year has been. People nodded politely. Then she opened the album. Page after page showed pictures of Linda and Emma. Only Linda and Emma. No me, no Ethan, just them. And then she said the words I'll never forget. People keep calling me Grandma, but honestly, I've been more of a mother to Emma than anyone else. The room went silent. Dead silent. I felt every eye turn toward me. Linda continued, I've sacrificed so much for her. I've cared for her constantly. Some bonds go beyond biology. Someone gasped. My face burned. I couldn't believe she was doing this publicly at my daughter's birthday party in front of everyone. And she wasn't finished. She looked directly at me. Then she smiled and said, Sometimes being a real mother has nothing to do with giving birth. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence was overwhelming. Then Ethan stood up. Not me, Ethan? And that changed everything. Mom, he said quietly, give me the album. Linda looked shocked. What? Give me the album. The room held its breath. Slowly, she handed it over. Ethan flipped through the pages. His expression darkened. Then he closed it. Do you know what's missing? Linda frowned. What? Emma's actual parents. A few relatives shifted uncomfortably. Ethan continued. You've spent a year pretending this child belongs to you. Linda laughed nervously. That's ridiculous. No, what's ridiculous is standing in front of everyone and claiming you're her mother. Her smile disappeared. I finally stood beside my husband. My hands were trembling, but my voice was steady. I tried being patient. Linda opened her mouth. I raised a hand. No. You're going to listen? The room stayed silent. You ignored boundaries. You entered our home without permission. You took my daughter without asking. You told strangers you were her real mother. You constantly undermined me. You made everything about yourself. Linda's eyes filled with tears, but for the first time, nobody rushed to comfort her, because everyone had witnessed it. Everyone had heard her words. There was no explaining them away. One of Ethan's aunts spoke up. Linda, that's actually true. Another relative nodded. My father-in-law, who had remained quiet for months, finally sighed. Honey, this has gone too far. Linda looked stunned, as if she genuinely believed everyone would support her. Then Ethan delivered the truth she never expected. We've decided to take a break. A break? She whispered. No visits for a while. Her face went pale. You can't do that. We can. You need me. No, Ethan said firmly. Emma needs healthy relationships. This isn't healthy. For the first time all year, Linda had no argument, no excuse, no victim story, because everyone had seen exactly what she was doing, and nobody could pretend otherwise. The months that followed were surprisingly peaceful. Linda spent a long time refusing responsibility. She blamed me. She blamed Ethan. She blamed misunderstandings. She blamed everyone except herself. But something had changed. The family no longer enabled her behavior. People stopped defending her, stopped making excuses, stopped saying she meant well. Eventually, even Linda realized she had pushed too far. She began therapy after encouragement from my father-in-law and several relatives. Progress was slow, very slow, but it was progress. For nearly 6 months, contact remained limited. During that time, Ethan and I focused on our little family. The tension disappeared from our home. The anxiety faded. I finally enjoyed motherhood without constantly feeling judged or challenged. When Linda eventually returned to our lives, things were different. She no longer demanded. She asked. She no longer claimed ownership. She respected boundaries. Trust took time to rebuild. Some wounds don't heal overnight, but protecting my peace taught me something important. Love without boundaries becomes control. Support without respect becomes entitlement. And family relationships only work when everyone understands their role. I'm Emma's mother, not because I gave birth, not because biology says so, but because every day I show up. I love her, I protect her, I guide her, and nobody gets to take that place away from me. Not even someone who convinced herself she deserved it. Because real motherhood isn't claimed, it's lived, every single day. If you've ever had to choose between family and your own peace, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life drama stories